All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our Urban Ag Hour. We're so excited that you're here to hear from some amazing speakers. The Urban Agriculture Production Small Scale and Beginning Farmer Program is partnered with USDA, NRCS, and FSA to offer this series, and today we'll hear from Erica Martin of ASU SWEE Center for Sustainable Food Systems, and she will be speaking about how they support the USDA's Transition to Organic Partnership Program, as well as some other initiatives they support to help producers. We'll also end this presentation with a small Q&A session at the end. And with that, I'll hand it over to you, Erica. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Amanda. Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you. As she said, my name is Erica Martin. I'm with the SWEE Center for Sustainable Food Systems. And let me just share screen. So hopefully everyone can see that okay. So today we're going to be talking about a few different initiatives, focusing primarily on our work with organic agriculture research and policy and the Transition to Organic Partnership Program. But we also wanted to elevate a couple of other initiatives that we're working on, including climate smart agriculture, which my colleague Ethan Ellis will speak on, as well as the Southwest Regional Food Business Center. So just a little bit about the SWEE Center. We're based at Arizona State University, and the SWEE Center is led by Executive Director Dr. Kathleen Merrigan, who is the former Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Agriculture and has been a pioneer in organic agriculture policy and sustainable food systems. Our mission is to drive social progress, economic productivity, and ecosystem resilience through food systems transformation. And we have a few different strategic research priorities, many of which are interrelated. So we work in a variety of ways to support sustainable food systems, including through workforce development in higher education, supporting sustainable food consumption in ways that align with deliciousness and rich culinary traditions, and engaging the private sector. Today, we'll be focusing primarily on how we support organic agriculture research and policy, particularly through our role through the National Transition to Organic Partnership Program, which is a bit of a mouthful, so otherwise referred to as TOP. So to give a little context on our work in organic and what it means to be an organic farmer, the organic label really ensures that crops are produced and animals are raised according to standards of organic, which ensure conservation practices that are typically bundled as maintaining or enhancing soil and water quality, avoiding the use of synthetic fertilizers, sewage sludge, irradiation, and genetic engineering. The focus is really on creating a system that can cycle these resources and promote ecological balance while elevating different ecosystem services like conserving biodiversity. A lot of these practices that you implement as part of an organic production plan are specific to your region, your site, your production type, and offer a really comprehensive way to help steward the environment. The USDA organic label helps guarantee that your food's been produced without synthetic pesticides and most synthetic fertilizers, artificial hormones, or genetically engineered seeds. This organic certification program is overseen by the USDA National Organic Program, which helps ensure that all certifying agencies nationally, as well as those internationally, follow minimum organic certification standards. So why we believe in organic agriculture is that it's good for the environment, for people and animals, and for business. For the planet, organic ag really helps to reduce the greenhouse gas footprint of farming through eliminating most fossil fuel-based inputs. And it's also a great way to build climate resilience by promoting the development of healthy soils, diversifying food crops, and building biodiversity. So subsequently, organic ag can really help increase our resilience to climate stressors in the face of extreme weather conditions. For people and animals, organic agriculture helps to promote animal welfare through ensuring livestock are raised in humane conditions with access to open spaces and natural diets. These practices help create a healthier farm ecosystem through increased biodiversity and reducing a lot of harmful environmental pollutants. These practices also have a ripple effect for surrounding communities, creating a cleaner and safer environment for both farm workers and nearby communities. And lastly, for business, there's a really strong and growing consumer market for organic products. We've seen year-over-year growth for the organic market share. And this resulting consumer demand places organic operations in a really great position to gain an organic market premium for their products. It also helps you kind of differentiate your products, your operations from others, and benefit from this growing market trend. And if you're interested, the SWEE Center a few years ago published a report on this subject titled Grow Organic, the Climate, Health, and Economic Case for Expanding Organic Agriculture. So the organic community in Arizona is small but growing. We check, there's the Organic Integrity Database, which logs all of the different operations in our state that have organic certification. So as of a couple of days ago, we currently have 75 operations that are certified organic for crop production and 2 that are for livestock. As of the 2021 USDA Organic Survey, which is released every few years, that amounts to a little over 22,500 acres that are certified organic in our state, and contributes to over $100 million in sales. So as part of our work, we focus a lot on 2 of the 4 different organic scopes. There are 4 total, which includes crops, wild crops, livestock, and handling. And we work a lot with the crops and livestock pieces. So crops that are organic are grown on soil that have no synthetic pesticides or fertilizers applied for at least 3 years prior to gaining that organic status. No genetically modified crops. And these include practices like crop rotation and crop buffers, et cetera, that help promote some of those other practices like healthy soil. For livestock, as I mentioned, these are livestock that aren't fed, that are fed organic feed and have access to pasture and aren't given any antibiotics. Wild crops are a little bit different. They're to the crop certification scope, and those are any plants or portions of a plant that's collected or harvested from a site that isn't maintained under cultivation or other management. So we work a lot with the organic certification process, particularly through the Transition to Organic Partnership Program. So it's definitely a simplified kind of map of the process, but what you would do is you'd complete an application for organic certification with a certifying agency, of which there are dozens across the country. Submit an organic systems plan, which really details the specific practices and inputs that you plan on using on your operation, an on-site inspection, an evaluation of that inspection report, and then a decision of if you meet all the requirements for certification. So diving into TOP. So TOP is part of a broader $300 million USDA investment called the Organic Transition Initiative, which has components that are led by the National Organic Program, Natural Resources Conservation Service, and the Risk Management Agency, all under the USDA. The main goal of TOP is really to cultivate and grow the network of organic producers and operations across the country through a mentorship model and by providing resources that support technical assistance and workforce development. TOP supports a lot of guidance for this organic certification process through providing workshops, webinars like this, field days, technical assistance opportunities, and education on organic production practices, business development opportunities, and the overall organic certification process. So at the SWEE Center, like many folks, we wear a lot of hats. So we work on a few different components of TOP. Overall, we're the state lead in Arizona, where we manage the mentorship program and support transitioning organic producers with mentorship, community building, workforce development, and technical assistance. We also provide data management for the West Southwest region, of which Arizona is a part of and is led by the California-based CCOF certifying agents. And then lastly, we also help to coordinate national data collection and reporting in collaboration with the National Organic Program. This is our team. We've grown a lot over the last year, and we work on a lot of different areas, from program management to technical assistance to helping to match mentees of transitioning operations with mentors of those who have already been certified. So it's a big team for a big goal, a big project. And a little bit more information about those main pillars of TOP. So as I mentioned, the mentorship program is really core to the TOP program, where we connect producers who are interested in transitioning to organic certification with those who have already gone through the process and have tremendous amount of organic knowledge to really help navigate the organic certification network. In addition, TOP provides technical assistance, which includes, helping producers create an organic systems plan, identifying organic practices that make the most sense for their, specific site and their goals, and a whole range of other topics. For community building, a huge part of this program is really just fostering those connections between folks who are working in the organic space, whether they're producers or ranchers or organic inspectors, university researchers, etc., is really helping to kind of bridge those gaps. And then lastly, we do a lot of workforce development, which focuses on a train the trainer model. It's really targeted towards those in the organic community, like extension agents, organic inspectors, USDA agency field staff, like Natural Resources Conservation Service, to really spread awareness about what it means to be an organic producer, and help, create that facilitative environment to really help folks transition to organic certification. So joining the TOP program carries a lot of benefits, getting connected to a larger network of like-minded producers across both Arizona, the West Southwest region, even nationally. And this creates a network to really support each other, not just on technical issues, but also really on social issues as well. So we have some basic requirements to become a mentor or a mentee within our program. So mentors receive a $3,000 stipend for each mentorship year that they participate in. And they're really supporting specific transitioning producers with the organic certification process. And they usually have about a minimum of 3 years of direct experience with organic certification. And it's a 1-year, 45-hour commitment with the opportunity for renewal. For mentees, there's a $500 a year stipend for participating. And these are folks who are really interested in gaining organic certification through this program and are seeking assistance with creating an organic systems plan for their site and would like to have access for different trainings, technical assistance resources, and workshops. That's a 1-year commitment and about 40 hours during that year. And then those relationships can be either in a one-on-one format or a small group format, where a mentor may have a couple of different mentees that might have similar goals and ideas of what they'd like to implement on their operation. So we've been really excited with how our mentorship program has evolved over the last 1.5 years. We just really got kicked off in early 2023. So as of This month, we have 8 active mentors and 12 mentees, including a mentee who actually just recently gained organic certification, which we were thrilled about. We have a really broad mix of folks who are part of this mentorship program in our state, representing a huge spectrum of agricultural production, from urban farmers growing on a quarter of an acre to a rancher who's stewarding 7,000 acres. So there really is a place for everyone within this program. Each mentor and mentee brings a really unique perspective and incredible skill set, all of whom are dedicated to creating a more sustainable food system in our state. We've got folks who are working on mixed vegetable production, grains, citrus products, a lot of livestock, such as poultry, goats, etc. So it's been really a great learning opportunity for us, and it's been awesome to see all the knowledge sharing that's happened as a result of this network. So as part of the knowledge sharing, resource sharing for this program, we've created our Arizona Top site. So on there, you can find a whole host of information on our mentorship program, including the application forms to become a mentor or a mentee. We post events that are coming up. We love to have the broader community involved in those. And we also link to a lot of resources that we've created that are specific to organic production in Arizona. So we have a couple of links there for you. I think my colleague Laura is dropping those in the chat, but please check it out. These resources include everything from different organic certifiers that you could potentially use for your operation, to kind of navigating the organic certification process, basic requirements, etc. We also wanted to elevate a few different other USDA organic related assistance opportunities, many of which have deadlines that are coming up in the next couple of months. So first is the Farm Services Agency. Organic certification can be a little costly, and so FSA has and manages the Organic Certification Cost Share Assistance Program, which reimburses organic certified producers and operations up to 75% or $750 per scope. And so we encourage folks to apply for that. Eligible costs that fall under that are application fees, inspection fees like per diem and travel. And the deadline to apply for that for the FSA national deadline is end of October. And then the Arizona Department of Agriculture deadline is early December. Another one is the Risk Management Agency's crop insurance programs and non-insured crop disaster assistance programs. So those deadlines, you should check out their website to see a little bit more, but those can be helpful in the event that you experience any impacts on your site from a natural disaster. And then lastly is the Natural Resources Conservation Service offers the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, which provides assistance for producers that are interested in implementing conservation activities on their property. So this can include anything from improving irrigation efficiency, developing pollinator habitats, implementing crop rotation, or minimizing tillage. There's a whole host of different activities, and there's specific payment rates based off of the types of activities that you implement on your farm. So that deadline is coming up soon. The national deadline is November 1st. However, NRCS accepts producer applications for its conservation programs year-round. But if you are interested in applying for this fiscal year, then definitely try to do that by November 1st. However, I'll also note that they have a couple of different deadlines each year. So if you don't make it for this round, there will be another coming up. And lastly, for TOP, we'd like to invite everyone to our next field day at Duncan Family Farms. It's taking place on October 17th from 8 to 1. We'll have lunch provided and we'll get a tour from the folks at Duncan on their organic operation, how they managed to go through the certification process, and that they'll provide a lot of their really great direct experience on that. So next, I'm just going to pass it over to my colleague Ethan to briefly discuss another initiative that we're working on, which is the Climate Smart Practices program.
Thanks, Erica. So the SWEE Center is a partner on the program that Erica just mentioned, which is funded by the USDA Climate Smart Commodity Grant Program, which is the $3 billion initiative by the USDA to promote climate smart practices and build climate smart commodity markets. So this pilot program in particular was designed by the Arizona Conservation District, which is the lead partner on this program. But there are a number of other partners, including ASU, including the University of Arizona, Local First, et cetera, to encourage growers in Arizona to adopt climate smart practices. And this program has a broad scope, which I will discuss in a few slides, but it has an education element in particular that it emphasizes cross-cultural knowledge sharing between Native American producers and conventional producers. So next slide. So this program targets these practices in particular. The USDA Climate Smart Commodity program defines climate smart activities based off a list of covered climate smart practices by the NRCS. It's quite a long list of practices, and among those practices, we decided to cover these practices. So that includes practices that promote soil health, such as cover cropping or reduce tillage, practices that reduce reliance on fossil fuels, practices that reduce the environmental impact of grazing. So these practices in particular, and next slide. So these practices were determined by producer listening sessions, which were spearheaded by Pinnacle Prevention, which is a partner on this grant. And these listening sessions it sort of informed the program design, especially in terms of, as I mentioned, the practices that we targeted. So by listening to producers from across the state, and these producer listening sessions are still ongoing, we've designed that shapes sort of how this program will look once it gets started in the beginning of next year. So we're currently accepting applications now. It's sort of a rolling deadline, but producers who participate in the program are eligible to receive grant funding to receive up to $1,800 an acre or $48,000 over the course of the program, either to implement climate smart practices or be paid for the practices that they're already implementing. So this program covers both transitioning operations, but also early adopters. And the idea is that the early adopters will help support producers who are interested in implementing climate smart practices. And so this is entailed, this also goes with the education piece of this program, which is really the piece where ASU SWEE Center comes into play. So once this program gets up and going in 2025, we will have a number of workshops that will educate the enrolled producers on topics such as how to implement certain climate smart practices, how to access markets, other relevant topics, and they will receive peer-to-peer technical assistance. For the ASU SWEE Center role in the education element, we will help support producers who are interested in transitioning to organic agriculture, and we will also design a guidebook that will help producers in terms of how to implement organic practices, how to receive organic certification, and how to access organic markets. I can answer any questions you might have about this program, but for now, I'll hand it back over to Erica to talk about our other initiatives.
Great, thanks, Ethan. So the last thing that we wanted to just share a little bit of information about today is the Southwest Regional Food Business Center, which is one of the newer initiatives that we've got going on in the state. So in addition to supporting, the producers and operations that are using organic practices, we're also really working to support this growing ecosystem of organic markets. This initiative of the Southwest Regional Food Business Center really focuses its support on processors, aggregators, and distributors that sell into all kinds of local and regional markets. So this can include any products that are produced locally or regionally, like fruits, vegetables, meat, poultry, fish, grains, dairy, with a focus on underserved communities. And for this, we've got nearly 40 partners working across California, Nevada, Utah, and Arizona. And while SWEE Center isn't a lead on this in Arizona, we do provide technical assistance as part of this initiative. So there are three main pillars of the Southwest Regional Food Business Center. First and foremost is coordinating activities across states, tribal nations, of colonias communities, to really create synergies between all these different food system stakeholders and build capacity for the Southwest region's underserved communities and businesses. Related to that is technical assistance, which can include anything from individualized guidance, presentations, workshops, training programs, mentorship, peer-to-peer learning, etc., to really help build a thriving food business. And then lastly is capacity building support. So we have a grant opportunity coming up, which is called the Business Builder Subawards, where applicants can apply for between $30,000 to $100,000 to support processing, value add, slaughtering facilities, honey processing, etc. The purpose of this grant is to support physical infrastructure and equipment for post-production processing, but not for on-farm activities. The applications for this program haven't been released yet, but we encourage you to keep an eye on our website to find out more information as it becomes available. In addition to this, we've got the link to the website on this slide here, but we have quite a few folks in the state who are providing technical assistance, including our colleague Sara El-Said. And so you can use the folks on this list to find support for organic handling practices, business plan development, and there's really no limit to the amount of hours of technical assistance support that you can receive through this program. So it's really a great opportunity to take advantage of. So there's a lot of information, but we want to thank you for your time listening in. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have now about TOP, about our climate smart work, the Southwest Regional Food Business Center, or please feel free to send us an email at organic.transition@asu.edu. So thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you, Erica, Ethan, and Alora for joining us from the SWEE Center. I'm just gonna share my screen real quick. All right, well, thank you everyone for joining. As Erica said, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or enter them in the chat and we can get those answered for you. In the meantime, if you wouldn't mind taking our survey, this just helps us better tailor our programs to support the community. So with that, I'll open the floor if anyone would like to ask any questions.
Question?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Was that permission for me to talk?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was wondering, I am starting to grow now, and nothing has been done on my land for the last 10 years. I understand that I have to be certified, but can I use those years that everything was fallow as counting towards my certification?
If you are able to get documentation that no synthetic inputs or prohibited substances have been applied on your land, then that could potentially shorten the 3-year certification process for you.
So how do you prove that something didn't happen?
It depends in part on land ownership. So
That was me for the last 10 years. That's
the
why.
last 10 years, yeah. I don't know specifically off the top of my head how to provide that documentation. There are a couple of U of A folks on here who might be able to answer that better than I can. But what I would recommend is meeting with a certifying agency to ask them the specific types of documentation that would be required so that you can prove that. Yeah.
That sounds like a good place to start. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, does anyone else have any further questions? All right, well, if no one has any more questions, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us again, and thank you, Erica, Ethan, and Alora, for your time. Really appreciate it. We hope to see everyone next month for our Urban Ag Hour. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.